Hi everybody, can you believe it? It's day 24 and today's topic is gentleness and tenderness. I'll be honest with you that the topic for today changed numerous times, and while I'm following the inspiration each day, sometimes the topic comes to me right before I make the video. I had a sense yesterday of that feels like a good topic. And then towards the evening it changed. And then this morning as I was walking, listening to an audiobook, it changed again. And now it has changed once more. And I chose the topic, gentleness and tenderness. I think that the words are very similar, aren't they? They have a connotation of caring, of being seen, of being held. They also have a penetrating quality. I think for me, especially tenderness. And I don't want to get caught up on words at all. So I put them both out there rather than letting this video be just about one. And I am struck at how much embracing the commitment to being gentle with ourselves and tender with ourselves can take such incredible courage. Oftentimes we stand alone because when we focus on self in that way, sometimes it can be seen as selfish, like, buck up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and this kind of painful way of evolving. But when I look at my own journey, when I look at the paths of the many people that I get to serve and other people who serve in the spiritual realms, including mystics and writers and leaders that are alive and those gone before us, there is such an incredible quality of gentleness and tenderness that has come from a direct experience of spirit, of God, of realization, of illumination. It seems that more than just simply an attitude, more than simply a practice, more than something to adopt, it's the overflow of the direct experience of being seen even in our inmost realms that are so utterly vulnerable. And so how do we then become people who are gentle and tender? And first and foremost, I think it is cultivating any type of open practice that creates an openness within us to the direct experience of how much we are loved into an existence, of how much every hair on our head is counted, of how much even in our most discouraging parts of feeling our limitations, that we are kissed. So anything we can do to get ourselves on the precipice and into the awareness of that, I think then the fruit of that is an incredible gentleness and an incredible tenderness. But when it comes to practice, we can also make choices that are that way, right? We can, when we notice a train of thought that is moving towards harshness, guilt, shame, blame, self-judgment, we can step back into a tender attitude or stance. Like Viktor Frankl said, it's like one of the thing that can't be taken from us is our attitude, our perspective in any given situation. And more often than not, when we adopt a stance like that, we stand alone. We stand alone. It's risky, right? We live in a world where it's right to be cherished for our sense of sacrifice, our gift of self, where we work in a dance of loving and being loved, and yet exercising and practicing and adopting the place of true tenderness with ourselves, we stand alone. Why? Because there isn't anybody that can offer ratification for the choice you make that is the outflow of a tender, gentle attitude within yourself. And more often than not, it will go misunderstood. You'll be looked at as someone who's not giving enough, or simply not understood in what you're doing, or anyway, I could go on in all the reasons that we stand alone. But I think that one, and I can even say for myself, is especially challenging because there's something that is a little safer if we judge ourselves. If I slash myself to pieces for all my limitations and all my mistakes and all my weaknesses, there's something very protective about that, right? We've owned it. And in that protection, it eliminates the opportunity for the tenderness to go in, where we really experience that we didn't understand. I mean, ignorance, unconsciousness is in and of itself, experiencing that we're unconscious in and of itself is utterly humbling, utterly devastating in the most life-giving sense of that word. So tenderness and gentleness, while an outflow of awakening and union with God, in its practice, we most often stand alone. I've noticed on this trip that, as Westerners, we are taught to measure so much. And while I would consider that I'm not extreme on that spectrum, I'm definitely not an A personality, and I'm definitely not competitive in my attitude towards how I embrace growth, and that I still have the tendrils of the Western mind. I can give a great example. The other countries, of the people eating here, they just eat. If they're hungry, they eat. I grew up in a world where you measure your calories and you measure your intake and responsibly manage. And I have been working on just eating when I'm hungry instead of only eating once a day, which has been my norm. And if you're walking 20 miles a day, you just can't do that. You got to eat more. And it's been funny to watch myself, because in the mornings when I get hungry after 3 hours of walking, I actually don't know what my body even wants or what I even want to eat. It's like when you're 3 or 4 years old and you're just trying new foods and you have no idea of your preferences. I don't know. One morning I had a chocolate croissant, which fueled me for the entire day. Who would have thought? Looking at it, I would have assumed simple sugar, heavy butters, it's going to weigh me down, I'm going to be tired, and it was the exact opposite. So I am letting this pilgrimage be a way of unraveling some of the tendrils of the Western control and management, even in its best sense, not control as a way of hurting yourself, but even in the best sense of managing and being responsible. And in its place, I'm stepping into the vulnerable place of gentleness, of tenderness, of being soft around my limitations, of not knowing when to eat or how to eat, not knowing when I've walked 5 hours and my mind isn't letting me rest in peace as I would like it to let the gentleness and tenderness serve me and thus create a better world, right? Just think, if we were all gentle and tender in the world, what an amazing, amazing, sensitive and kind world we would have. So today I walk that you will know gentleness and tenderness in a new way, not as an external practice, not as a way that you even measure how gentle you are or not, but as an overflow of the experience that you are seen and loved exactly the way you are. Blessings, my friends. Bye-bye.